What's up, guys? It's your boy Joseph Huga here, and I just wanted to say, I know you guys saw my last video of me, letting Yuki go. It was a great bike, but there's a lot of things I had to decide and decisions I had to make. And one of the decisions I had to make was, do I want to keep riding a 750 and not having the power that I want? A couple of other, cosmetic things that I put in my things I don't like about my Phantom video that you guys have probably seen. If not, you'll see it. So I had to make a decision, but I think we made a good decision. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my new bike. I got that 2022 Indian Chief Dark Horse. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we had to bump it up a little bit. I know you guys see the hat. I know you guys see the shirt. I had to join the tribe, as they say, and had to bump it up and get that, that Dark Horse, that Indian. So a couple of things that drew me to this bike that I really wanted to make sure that I didn't have in the other bike, but I wanted in this bike was, one, the power. So I went from a 750cc to an 1800cc bike, and that difference in power is extraordinary. That difference in power is extraordinary. I mean, from throttle response to just the way the bike feels, everything like that. It was a huge leap in power, but a comfortable leap. So let me explain some things to you about the bike that I really like and that really drove me to buy this bike, in that example. So one, I got a digital gauge on the bike, right? I know you guys remember me talking to you about some things that I didn't like about my other bike, and it had nothing to do with per se what the gauges were on there, but with this new digital gauge though, allow me to tell you it corrected all the issues that I had with my last bike. I have a fuel gauge, I have a mileage gauge on how far my fuel lasts, I have RPMs, I have engine, I have customizable, I have diagnostics, I have all those things, neutral indicator, and I had all those things I did not have with my bike previously, right? And those were things that I didn't realize I needed until I rode for a while on that cruiser, on that Phantom 2020. I will say that Phantom 2020 was a great bike and it's a good starter bike for anybody, but when you're finally ready to bump it up, I think the Indian Chief Dark Horse is definitely a good choice for you to do. So there's a couple of different things I want to point out about this bike right now that I'm really happy about. Is one, this bike comes in mid controls and it comes in forward controls. Now I test rode the mid control one, and I really didn't like it that much. I didn't like my knees being up to my stomach, when I'm riding. I'm kind of a little bit of a heavier guy, so I was an uncomfortable position, you know what I mean? But the forward controls feels just like my other bike. I'm about, I don't know, I'd say I'm probably about 5'5", 5'6", in all honesty to you. But sitting on the bike, it feels very comfortable. It's a very comfortable position, position for me. It sits, the height is perfect, the ride height's perfect, the way the handlebars are now. Here's something I want to bring up to you guys before you go out and buy one. The Indian Chief has many different handlebar styles that you can do for this bike, right? Some of them are forward. You can have the razors, the one that raise them up, different ways. The Indian Chief Sport has the raised handlebars and stuff like that. I didn't really care too much for that. I like the handlebars coming back to me for more of the relaxed cruise style, you know what I'm saying? And this bike had that already on it for me with the forward controls, and I love that a lot. Okay, that was a really big deal for me when purchasing this bike. Okay, not to mention all the other cosmetics being blacked out. I like that too. We got some modifications coming to the bike. One thing I got to tell you guys that was a really big complaint. One thing that I got to tell you guys about a really big complaint about this that I didn't like at first was the original stock seat that came with this, because it's the Indian Chief Dark Horse bobber is what it is, right? So I had the original bobber seat that came with it, right? That when I bought it, that seat is awful. That seat is dog shit. It's the worst seat you could ever have when buying this motorcycle. Make sure you have a new seat immediately. The reason why I say that is because the old seat had no stop, had no cushion. It was like rubber-ish, you know what I mean? And so when I'm riding it, and this bike's got a lot of torque, I would slide back from the seat, right? And that's an uncomfortable feeling. You know, I shouldn't have to feel like the bike's pulling me to keep, you know, to hold on to the bike. So switching out the seat right away gave me that more comfortable feeling for the bike. And I was able to ride it lots more smoother, lots more better, not really worried about, you know, sliding off or whatever the case may be from the torque from the bike. That 116, man, it's a beast, man. I'm gonna tell you, it's a beast. Now, the torque on this thing is great. The pull, it follows through all the way when you're riding it. I like that. There's throttle response all the way through. It's got 3 modes. It's got touring mode, it's got standard mode, and it's got sports mode. And in case you guys are wondering what those modes do, because I know a lot of people haven't covered what those modes do, what they do is they control throttle response, okay? How much you have to twist the throttle in order to get the maximum power out of the bike, okay? That's what the different modes do. Sports mode is instant torque, instant power. Standard's like you gotta get it like a little bit like that before it goes. And in touring, you have to really get on it for it to get all the power to come to the bike. I recommend riding in standard unless you're getting on the highway and you wanna show off with your friends. Then you can do sports mode. And all those modes and everything with the digital gauge are controlled with these pedals, these paddles that are right here on the back of the bike, right here. You got one right there. You got one on the other side as well, right here. And what they do is they let you change the gauge. They let you change the gauge on what you want. So while you're riding, your hand's free for the GPS, which another great feature I love about the bike. GPS, music, and the gauge. So that's, like I said, this is the gauge I love so much. It gives heading, odometer, fuel. I love that. It's amazing. So those are some things that I like, and reason why I purchased this bike. Now this bike has not had any stages done to it yet, so we're gonna do that together. We're gonna do that together. Every stage that I go through on this bike, we're gonna do it together. I'm gonna make sure you guys are a part of that video and everything like that. We have a whole bunch of modifications like we did for Yuki to go on this bike, so it's gonna be a good time. But I just wanted to introduce you guys to my new ride, and I gotta say I love it, and by far it was the best choice I could have ever made. If you guys aren't liked and subscribed, definitely make sure to do that. We have more content coming along the way. I appreciate all your guys' support. I'll see you next time. Peace.